This is an albino. She's got purple eyes. Purple eyes. Is it okay to think that pale skin is really hot? Maybe not. After all, color-based skin preferences like yellow fever are considered a form of racial objectification. Maybe you're not supposed to like any particular skin color. But what about black is beautiful? Well, that's just confusing. Can we have race, skin color, or other appearance preferences, or can we not? Where do we draw the line? The reason I bring up albinos is to make this point clear. This is not about race. It certainly can be related, but as you can see, there are black albinos too. Rather, this is about our skin color preferences. Is preference of a certain skin color caused by systemic racism, some other form of social factor, or biology? Should colorism be considered a form of prejudice? And if so, what should we do about it? For this, let's refer to the comedy series, which is funny but only unintentionally, Decoded with Franchesca Ramsey.
White supremacist stereotypes.
Oh, she immediately made it about race. Alright, but let's hear her out.
In the world of pop culture, darker-skinned women have frequently gotten the short end of the success stick. From Lena Horne, the first black actress to sign a major studio deal, to Halle Berry, the first black actress to win a Best Actress Academy Award, lighter-skinned and often mixed-race women have usually broken through society's biggest barriers first.
Well, that's no great mystery now, is it? Lena Horne rose to prominence in the 1940s. You know, before the civil rights movement and shit. Back when racist government was still legal.
Black people with lighter skin, straighter hair, and more Eurocentric features have always been more likely to be given the paltry number of opportunities to access white spaces and institutions.
I mean, it's no surprise that we went from only whites to slightly less white before going all the way, right?
The roots of this light versus dark inequality stem all the way back to the days of slavery, when lighter-skinned slaves, often the mixed children of white slave owners, were given domestic work as opposed to the physical labor of darker slaves, thus landing higher on the skin tone hierarchy because of their proximity to whiteness. This separation was enacted based on the slave traders' false beliefs that darker-skinned people were better suited for hard labor, whereas lighter-skinned blacks were thought to be better suited for intelligent and domestic tasks. Now, while the skin tone hierarchy known as colorism is a byproduct of white supremacy, it's not just a white thing.
Yeah, it's not. In fact, the oldest roots of colorism is not in slavery and not in racism. For example, in many regions of Asia, particularly in the Far East, light skin has been a sign of beauty for thousands of years. Why? Because people working in the sun all day get fucking tan. If you're pale as a sheet of paper, chances are you're a person of high social status who has servants to do all the work for you. If you get to sit in the shade all day because of that, no wonder you're attractive. I hate to be the class reductionist here, but actually I don't. This is also why black men who look dark from gritty work can still be desirable. Point is, there's natural selection at work here. Even if you reject all that reasoning, just consider this simple picture. Which one of these do you think is the good guy and which is the bad guy?
Well, obviously the one on the left is good and the right is bad.
What gave it away? I've known plenty of people who are scared of the dark, but the only people I've ever met who are scared of the light is primarily people who are worried, again, about what the sun will do to their skin. I'm sorry, but humans, with exceptions of course, generally just prefer light over dark. I submit to you that colorism precedes racism, not the other way around.
So, why does that matter?
It matters because colorism is a result of mostly biological factors which are then reinforced by culture, while racism is the other way around. And of course, both biases reinforce each other.
Big deal. Who cares why they happen? They're both bad, right?
Well, first of all, calling personal color preference bad is quite tricky. We'll get to that. But more importantly, racism can be defeated by making our culture less tribalistic. But if I'm right about this, skin tone preferences embedded into our DNA are much harder to overcome. Franchesca Ramsey, back to you.
Of the over 12,000 African American women prisoners, light-skinned women were sentenced to 12% less prison time than darker ones. Dark-skinned blacks in the United States have lower socioeconomic status, more punitive relationships with the criminal justice system, diminished prestige, and less likelihood of holding elective office compared with their lighter counterparts. There have even been black dating apps with filters for skin tone. In other words, by privileging lighter skin, straighter hair, and more Eurocentric features, the media creates an environment that affects dark-skinned people on a social, political, and personal level.
Wait a second, do you see what she did there? Time to play Name That Fallacy. Play the clip back again.
Lower socioeconomic status, more punitive relationships with the criminal justice system, diminished prestige, and less likelihood of holding elective office, privileging lighter skin, straighter hair, and more Eurocentric features.
See that? She's substituting two different types of colorism. One where dark skin is just seen as less attractive, and another where it leads to an actual loss of opportunity. Now, one of these could exist without the other. And while I hope we can all agree that treating someone differently based on skin color isn't ideal, I'm not sure eliminating beauty preferences altogether is preferable or even possible. I mean, are you just gonna hammer it into people's brains until they start liking black skin? First of all, beauty is all subjective anyway, and we're supposed to be fighting against social pressures telling us what to find attractive. Second, you can't just repeat a mantra and override hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. We all know not to judge a book by its cover, but come on, do we really? Like, who's gonna take a look at this ugly fat bitch and say,
I just want to lick the sweat off those beautiful chins?
it ain't happening. I'm sorry, but this is the stuff of fucking nightmares. Now, would it surprise you to hear that short, fat, and ugly people also earn less than the average person? Now, that's just as unfair as the colorist bias, so what should we do about all this?
There are some things that all people of color can do to combat colorism within their communities and in pop culture as a whole. Engaging in open and honest conversations about how colorism affects your daily life, and if you're light-skinned, acknowledging your privilege. Because at the end of the day, it shouldn't be team light skin versus team dark skin. It should be team melanated people of all sizes, shapes, and shades versus society's dumb bull.
AKA white people. Now, notice that none of what Franchesca Ramsey lists out actually solves anything. How does acknowledging light skin privilege fix colorism? It doesn't. It accomplishes nothing but piss people off.
Ooh, you're so lucky. Don't you feel lucky to be a white motherfucker rather than a black motherfucker? Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. There's only two actual ways to fix this. One, by addressing the illness, which is underlying bias, or two, addressing the symptoms by using some sort of affirmative action to force everybody to get the same treatment. Fighting against racism can reduce some of the effects of colorism, but let's just say that, as I speculate, colorism can't be solved just like that. As for affirmative action, once you adjust for skin tone, that just invites us to adjust for any number of other traits. Imagine learning that your coworker is getting a pay raise for being left-handed. More importantly though, affirmative action presupposes without evidence that each individual employer is inherently and equally biased as any other employer out there, which is plain wrong. In either solution, our efforts would not only be impractical, they'd replace one evil with an evil far worse, amounting to what is essentially thought crime. But look at the silver lining. We can't completely defeat human bias or subjective preference. Who knew? I don't think we should either. Homogeneity is a far greater enemy. But at least, I'm safe behind my computer screen, recording only my voice. Little do you, my audience, know that I'm actually a short, ugly, fat motherfucker. And I have a small dick too. But you can't judge. You don't even know my race. Guess I can say you're colorblind. Wait, I think I just found a solution. I swear, some person out there is gonna dox me and reveal what I look like to the world just to spite me. No channel is too small. We touched a bit on affirmative action in this video, and I'll probably do a more in-depth teardown of it sometime later as well. I realized I didn't properly respond to that yellow fever thing. My response is, that's all bullshit. Fuck whomever you wanna fuck, why would I care? I mean, I understand that it can perpetuate some stereotypes about Asian women, but seriously, if you like submissive women, you're gonna partner with submissive women either way. If being with an Asian somehow enhances that and your partner's okay with it, more power to you. Just don't be racist, that's all. Look forward to more commentary about the ongoing culture wars, I guess. Other than that, check out the link in the description to download my latest original music, and bye.
I'm and I approve this message.